Welcome to Power Charting. I'm Bruce Fraser, your host, and we have concluded tape reading part one, which is a wonderful workshop that Ramon has put on for us. We came to a gripping point in our workshop, and we're going to continue it. But first, Ramon, welcome to part two.
Great to be here. Thank you, Bruce. And we're just having a lot of fun going through this chart.
It is such a
So looking
blast.
forward,
Yeah,
looking forward to the second part.
this is really it's a blast to do this. By the way, this tape reading skill set is pretty rare. Not many people teach it. Ramon has done an epic, large three-part course on tape reading, and you can see it here. Ramon, if they want to see more about this workshop, they would go to wyckoffanalytics.com.
Absolutely, wyckoffanalytics.com, and find it either on demand or if you're watching this in November, December of 2020, you still will be able to attend some live sessions. So sign up and, we'll just go through it together.
And this is just an all-star list. First of all, Ramon starts it with the first part, and then he has these phenomenal guests that come in and add to the body of knowledge, which includes David Weiss, Gary Follett, and also you have a person that sort of an undiscovered uh, person,
Right.
William
Yeah.
Reardon.
So maybe like introducing William Reardon, to our U.S. Wyckoff community.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And I just want to say a couple of words about all of these three people, Gary, David, and William. Those are what I consider specialists. So we have in our Wyckoff methodology specialists, people that specialize in a certain part of the methodology. So for instance, Bruce and I, we were brought up more as, I would call it as Bruce price structuralists, right? So we look at the price structures, we analyze that. So that's our specialty. Specifically with Bruce, I absolutely love that. And in my opinion, I think that Bruce is number one in the world right now in terms of the P&F horizontal counting. There are a lot of details, nuances on that, and Bruce obviously has spent so much time just going through the P&F charts.
I'm
So this
blushing.
three,
I'm blushing.
yeah. So
Very
these
kind of
three
you.
people are more specialists on tape reading. I mean, like Gary is just like constantly in the tape, conducting all of those sessions. David is well known, for his tape reading abilities. And again, William is just kind of like a rising star. So um, was trying to figure out who are the specialists, and these are the people actually who we know. So if you have any interest, again, developing this um, a lost skill, then definitely come sign up.
All right, we're going to stop the recording and move the screen over to Ramon. Hang on just a sec. Well, when you last tuned in, we were at an very exciting juncture in Micron technology where it had just broken a key prior low in a downtrend after distribution. Ramon, where are we?
Right. So let's just quickly review what we've seen, what we've done since 2008 low. We had an uptrend. We said that this area right here suggested a trading range. We went into this trading range. Then we've had a discussion about this spot, which we were labeling a sign of strength up thrust with the question mark. And why the question mark? Well, because there was not a lot of commitment above. There was some selling that we've seen in the volume signature and how the price reacted. We chose to short the stock with the most conservative entry. You could have been a little bit more aggressive, shorting the stock somewhere here right away, somewhere here. We decided to go with the LPSY point of entry. So this happens usually after a sign of weakness on the attempt to go up. And that was the trade. Our main exit would be on this bar right here. This is where we would be thinking, this is a swing trade, so we are done. We are in the vicinity of the target, And even though there might be some kind of continuation to the downside, that was our first trade. Now, it's very helpful to look at the big picture before you do something else next. So here is our trading range. Here are the boundaries of the trading range, and we still have some room even to go down. Not only that, I mean, like this whole structure could become a little bit of the distributional structure, and maybe, just with some lower targets here. So we have to continue with the bias, which is at this case is still to the downside. Let's just see if we could stop here at 6.5. If we do, would we be able to construct some kind of bullish scenario here with the price, or if not, would we just continue going down, and would we be in the downtrend? And that's the whole idea here, coming back, to a much smaller time frame. So the last bar, as we said, is it truly, a spring, or is it a sign of weakness? And as you could see, the questions, the price structural questions, are all kind of the same. Is this a sign of strength or an upthrust? Is this a spring or a sign of weakness? And in this case, we could say actually it was both. It was a spring type action, but it acted in the larger structure as a minor sign of strength. And remember how we, in part number 1, defined that this minor sign of weakness suggested that we are actually going to have some kind of move to the downside. So very subtle ways of how we could draw our conclusions. Okay, well, let's see some continuation. So we are definitely having some supply that is pushing the price to 675, and then demand is coming in. We see that from the increase of the volume signature and the demand tail. We are in this target zone, so it's not like we wouldn't be expecting some demand to come in. We need to see what kind of result this demand could produce, because if it can't produce a significant result, then most likely we're just going to continue to the downside. And here is your answer right away. So here is this continuation. Well, now, if we got out of this trade, and let's say that we've done with our swing trade right here, right now, currently, we don't have any edge in terms of where would we be opening this position. So there might be some continuation, but if we are out, and that's it. We did not see any overcoming of 850. The most exciting bar probably was right here, but it almost instantly was negated, so an upthrust. And now we're just continuing with the downtrend.
And you've gone to your support target zone.
Yeah, and we're at that support. So will we stop here or not, or break through that? Here's the break. So still suggests that there is quite a lot of supply. There's the continuation of that supply. Could have been, a second trade right here, so we just missed that. There's some demand that is coming in. Let's check on the support again, just to visualize where we are. Okay, so we broke this low. We definitely broke this low. So still, a substantial downtrend that we are in. And that good bar that we've had is almost instantly being negated, but not committing yet. Still a downtrend though. There is nothing, in the previous bar that suggests that we are in the uptrend, again, with the exception of non-commitment below this low. And then after that, we have a really good bar. So this bar, changes a lot in terms of how we view the downtrend. This is the largest up bar in this whole move to the downside. So we would be thinking, could this be a potential change of behavior for us? Could this be an automatic reaction after maybe some stopping action? And again, at these spots, you don't really have a big edge, tactical edge. You just have to see, the testing. You have to see if any type of trading range is going to develop, and then, give it the buys, give it the timing. Okay, still a continuation to the downside. We still see some volatility. We're still in the downtrend and in the short-term potential trading range, which might not even hold. So let's just see. Okay, yeah. Another attempt to bring some demand. Now, please note that this is a smaller bar relative to what we've seen before here, and the volume signature diminishes as well. Now, we'll have to see if this could be sustainable or not. But for now, nothing of the bullish case that I see, at least for now. The second bar was very interesting just because the volume signature increased and we didn't have continuation to the downside. But we should, if we're thinking that demand is increasing here, we should see some attempt to go up, overcome this level here where we had the stop in action again to the upside, come back, maybe start ranging. That would be something for us. Right now, it's still, within the context of the downtrend. So this bar is showing some supply that's coming in, but we are excited that some demand is there and it has ability to push the price up. So we wanted to commit above this level. We did not, but at least on the intraday level basis, we penetrated that. Okay, so good action here, suggesting that demand now has a little bit more control, and that comes after shortening of the thrust, this last attempt on increased volume signature, and therefore demand here, to push the price down and inability to do so. So more bullish behavior here, and we are trying to see, okay, well, could we possibly have some kind of trading range here? Some testing, still some gaps down, so not as big gap to the downside as we had before, but still that suggests that there's still not a very strong demand that we could see here. And trading ranges are like that. I mean, like if we are in one where volatility could increase, really quickly, and the sentiment still, on both sides. So market participants do not have a really good grip on what the sentiment is, and or they're all over the map. Okay, and if anything, this price action of the last two bars confirms our suspicion that we are in the trading range. Look at how on the last reaction supply is actually decreasing. So that's a good positive sign. After the increase of the supply, we have a decrease of the supply, a slightly higher low, two dynamic bars on lower volume signature. So I like that. So it means again that with the lesser effort, we could push the price up.
Now we have a downtrending channel that goes all the way from the March, April peak, and through there. And so we have an oversold condition, throw under oversold condition. So possibly there's some kind of a cause building here.
Yeah, and again, in the beginning of the trading range, we are kind of at the mercy of volatility and at the mercy of the duration of the trading range. I mean, like we can't really jump on this right away unless you're in extremely oversold condition and you're coming out of that.
Well,
So
sorry for interrupting, but you're doing the phase analysis here. Best case is that if this is some kind of a cause building process for either accumulation or redistribution, then you're probably in phase A, phase B at best.
Yeah. So still that volatility that we see with those gaps, it is suggestive, the whole environment is suggestive that we are in the trading range. But because we're so early, as Bruce has said, phase A, phase B, and we're looking for phase C, phase D, it's still a little bit early. So we want to find an edge somewhere here before we break through the resistance line and before we have a little bit more testing, like the final test, that would be of interest to us. But for now, you know, except for very, very short-term trades, I don't see any edge here for us. Okay, some supply is still coming in at the resistance at 650, so maybe that could produce some kind of reaction. Let's just see. Not a lot of reaction, so which is a bullish sign. So this is great. We just have to, again, you know, if we're going to come in into the position, it has to be after the reaction. More contraction of the result and on the same effort. So evidence of the supply, but right away, you know, this is a very interesting absorption that we're seeing. Where supply comes in on different bars, we could see supply signature, you know, from the tails of these two bars, from the volume signature that comes in, and then look at the response. Right away, the price goes up. Supply comes in again here, and then look at what the price does. Comes up again. So what does it mean for us? It means that demand is becoming better. Demand is strengthening. There is definitely now more buyers than sellers, and we are experiencing this change of behavior. Now, even if we experience the change of behavior, it means really nothing to us. I mean, we have to have some kind of, you know, some structure or at least a test at the minimum in order for us to start considering, you know, initiating position here. So we might actually wait until the reaction gets us back into a trading range. And I'm going a little bit faster here, so showing you that reaction. And you could anticipate that type of the reaction in the trading range when you see that supply is starting to come in around levels of the resistance. And then there is some kind of final push, final reversal. This could be a trade on its own into the area of the support. It's just not my style, but I mean, like, you note those things.
Not uncommon to see an upthrusting action thereafter in a phase B type area, to see it upthrust, and of course that brings people into the trade when it's just not ready. It's still phase B at best.
Yeah, and that's a very good point that Bruce is bringing. It's like the trade, if you're thinking about we are in the support zone, we are in the target zone, we have some kind of bullish change of behavior, uh, is the timing now? It actually isn't until we have more of testing that is being done at the support level, because we've tested it, you know, multiple times, but not as much. As you could see, this reaction is now accelerating to the downside, and supply is definitely becoming more and more present. So right away, you're starting to think, what is going on? Is this a trading range? What kind of buys do we have here? So all of these questions, you know, gradually should be solved as you know, go through more price action. We are undercutting the support, so that acts as a sign of weakness in itself. And let's just see if we're going to have some kind of recovery out of this. There is an increase in the volume signature, so a break is much more significant. Again, you know, if I would see this, I would probably go and look at this whole thing a little bit more. So even though we had this change of behavior that was suggestive of the trading range, we are breaking here, you know, quite significantly. So still a downtrend, and still we would be, you know, thinking about what kind of channels are we in. We're actually close to the oversold here. What kind of targets we would be thinking about here? So something like this, this, all of those would be those targets, you know, to the downside where the price stopped before, consolidated for some time. Okay, and I'm kind of bummed, Bruce, that, you know, we're not in this position. This is a good move. So again, some of the position could be open probably like on this bar in anticipation of meeting this support, but characteristically this could keep us a little bit in the position, but okay, it is what it is. So let's just go with this. attempt to stop. Some demand is coming in. Again, there is no edge to the upside. There is no edge to the downside. All of the edges to the downside were prior to this drop. Potential change of behavior again. Gonna go a little bit faster. Demand is diminishing. Maybe the last bar here. Okay. Would we have some kind of reaction out of this? And it's interesting how the price actually holds. So we're seeing an oversold condition here, then a rally that comes above the support, and then the price holds. So if it holds here, then we could have a potential, swing up into slightly higher zone. But at the same time, supply is coming in on the last bar. So let's just see if it just fails here. And we definitely just, what we want to see is, again, some kind of retest of the previous low. Still holding. So again, not a bad sign, actually a good sign. And now the last volume signature is lower and the price is actually moving freer to the upside. Now we would want a bar like this to commit above all of the points of the resistance, which it doesn't. So acts a little bit as a suspect, but goes through the resistance right here. Not the biggest close above the resistance. So we're still, kind of very tentative. And for a good reason. You see how the price just, if you don't have a really good breakout to the upside, you could anticipate that that weakness on the demand part could realize in the move like this into to the downside. Okay, very interesting bar in terms of the price action itself, and then the volume that comes in. So obviously we are overcoming the high here in a very defined way. So this is, a good breakout for us. It actually overcomes this high as well. So now we have kind of like this creepy range, creepy, trading action. And we probably would be thinking that there are attempts, from here to buy, oversold, and then test. Ability to hold at this level suggests that we're a little bit more bullish. This was a fake breakout. We had this reaction and then coming back, and definitely a change of behavior bar. Again, not necessarily that we would be the buyers at the end of this bar. It's a little bit overextended to our taste. We probably would wait for some kind of reaction of this bar. So let's just see. Supply comes in, but it's holding in the upper part of the previous bar, which is a little bit more bullish. The key here for the test is not to fail. The key here is just to kind of like rest here and then continue up. So let's see if we could do that. And we're sliding back into the body of this bar. So again, suggesting that, we might have some duration for this trading range. Yeah, so not a very successful test at all with all of these bars sliding. So in a way, kind of like the price action, like what we've seen before, where we get to the new high and then we're sliding back. So let's see if we might potentially have, something like this again, where we would say that this is an analog to the previous action. And if this analog does not materialize and it fails, then it would become a failed signal, which is a good signal in itself. Okay, so stop in action. I mean, we're stopping where we're supposed to stop. After this step of the reaction, we are trying to stop before the low of this big bar and also at the level of the previous congestion and at the level where we stopped before. And I'm thinking here, in terms of the whole trading range, now we have a little bit more price action. Could we consider, let's say, preliminary support, stop in action, automatic rally, secondary test, phase A, up thrust in phase B, some kind of sign of weakness, and then we just consolidate in here.
And
Yeah,
it's becoming
interesting.
quite a large cause, substantial
Yeah,
cause.
so already we have something. So again, whenever you're in doubt, just go to a higher time frame. Higher time frame usually will give you a better perspective on the whole structure. So we've been in this structure right here, and we have stopped around this area right here. This was an extreme oversold condition. So this seems like a value zone where we would rebound from here. So, and we do. And I'm just thinking more about, kind of like timing here. Probably would wait a little bit just to see. And I wonder, I mean, like if we are failing here, we're definitely gonna go lower. But if we are holding here after this, I think there is a potential that the price could start moving up. So let's come back to our daily bars. Okay, and the actual last bar is not bad, and I'm kind of thinking a little bit about, what could happen here. Would
About
we go up?
2 minutes left.
Okay. Okay, so on the last reaction, we're going down. Supply is diminishing relative to what we've seen on the previous reaction. So I like this action. There is a reversal bar right here. Why don't we just say that we're gonna just have some kind of stop buy at this level around, 640-ish, about 650, just to be cleanly in the position if it goes like that. And if it doesn't, and if it goes down, then, we are not in the position. So this is more of a tactical structural place, to think about the trade. Yeah, and there is no lift. So right away, all of the tape reading is all about action and then the test. So why is the price does not go up, to our stop buy? Well, there is obviously some weakness. So we see this also from the volume signature. It might negate this or just still, keep it there and see if we're gonna break through this level. If we do, what would be the target again into the oversold condition somewhere here. Okay, so I know that we don't have a lot of time, so let's just quickly go. Break. Still doesn't want to go down that fast.
There it is.
Yes, so this was a very interesting bar, and I probably would be thinking that, there might be some a point of entry right here just because the price was consolidating at the same level for so long. So would move the stop buy somewhere here. I'm a little bit concerned about the supply signature here because previously when it happened, we stopped from going up, and this is a much smaller bar. So Bruce, maybe we could stop here and revisit this.
Let's stop here, and we will pick this up at a later date.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.